guys, I'm going to talk to you now about logic. This is a field of psychology and one which I studied in college. If you've never studied before, you might at the very least want to make yourself familiar with it if you're in a STEM field of study in college, because it is very relevant to everything and will help you a lot in just day-to-day life. So a lot of things can be solved through logical reasoning and by logic itself, rather than having to know the hard way and figure out all the details. But I'll give you the brief summary. Essentially what it means is that if a certain thing is the way it is, then everything that follows from that is simply a fact, and anything you can correlate to that can be said to be true based on what it relates to and how it is relevant and or related to that topic or category or fact based on what is said to be just the way it is. So let's say if someone said the grass is green and someone argued that it's raining outside, but it didn't change the color of the grass, you could logically correlate that that means the grass is still green, because the fact is that the grass did not change color, and since the fact already stated the grass was green, that gives you enough information to know that even though it was raining, the grass color did not change. So that is just a simple example of logical correlation. Another instance is in logical arguments. If you can make an objective argument, which is just said to be true within itself, then anyone who argues anything with it would have to somehow disprove it with an objective reasoning themselves. So if you argue that reasonably, it's always, well, this gets complicated. I'll just argue with one that's much easier to comprehend. And that's that if you argue that objectively, the best case scenario is always the best, that's simply a fact, because the best is the best because A equals A. So anyone who wants to argue anything different would have to somehow disprove logic itself, and they can't do that because there's no logical argument that can disprove logic itself. So that's essentially how you would hold something in that way or manner in regards to the absolute. But if you're doing something else, like saying having a subjective argument, you'd want to still consider logic, because you wouldn't want to let your feelings or your emotions get in the way of an argument. Because if you're arguing someone did something and you start just blabbering about, well, I don't like them, well, I don't like them, then it kind of gets in the way of your argument, because you're not really providing any supporting evidence that could help, let's say, an attorney or a judge to make their decision. So keep that in mind if you're ever having an argument, and don't try to get too emotionally or let your what's going on at that moment get too caught up in what you're trying to say, or else you might lose your point and you might lose your argument. So, and also don't worry about what the judge does, because they do their job. So state your facts, present the evidence, or if you're a lawyer or involved in the case, just do what your job is and give the judge what he needs. But once that's presented, let the court of law do its job and they'll handle everything. But the other thing is don't let it get too caught up in your life, because if you think too much that way, you can get down a bad, difficult road. But if you think about it logically, and I'll say this once, that you want a girlfriend, then just go get a girlfriend. You don't need to argue with that. Don't argue with things that are simply true in your life, and don't try to disprove what you have subjectively reasoned to be what you want. Because if you want it, then it's just what you want. Even if you think there's something preventing you from it, it's still truly you and what you want, so you shouldn't let anything get in the way of that, because in that case, or if that was the case, I'm going to say, it gets in the way of you, or rather that kind of thought process gets in the way of you. So avoid that, and you'll always stay true to yourself and your beliefs and what you hold to be you and yourself. But I'll get into beliefs actually next more in detail, because that's kind of a new category, but I'll say that it will help you have a healthy id-ego balance. But moving on to what I was talking about, which is on another note that's also important. Having beliefs is important. If you don't have any beliefs, you won't stand for anything. So this is the area where it gets complicated, but if you reason through certain things, like you believe that there is a higher power, or you believe that you can't do everything because you witness people do things you can't do, or maybe you just live life long enough to know that humility is important, because being too cocky kind of puts you beyond what you would say is a social norm, and that's not somewhere you'd want to be in a society. It's outside of what the society considers to be acceptable, and or what would be considered to be a regular kind of human being kind of way to act. Anyway, those are my thoughts on that, and or that's how I reason through things like that. Not that I reason the same way as you, but it's just something maybe you can consider. Anyway, I hope that helps you keep your life on track, or get your life on track if you're worrying about things or trying to get your life in order as in regards to what you should do next. But anyway, if you want to know more, check out branches that are more relevant, or maybe not more relevant, because it'd be equally as relevant, but more specific to those things. Like I think Nietzsche is a controversial kind of book, but he talks very strongly. Oh no, sorry, not Nietzsche. I'm thinking he's a completely different person. He argues different things about logic and why you should challenge beliefs in order to find your own beliefs, which I believe is a valuable thing to do, because if you just believe what other people tell you to believe, you won't always necessarily believe the right thing. But another resource, in addition to that you could find helpful, is Freud, who talks a lot about psychology and about the balance between the id and ego. Otherwise, maybe just keep in mind your life goals and your life track, and any resource you find that you feel helps you along your way after reading it, or that you feel could help you on your way upon reading it, by all means, use it as a resource, and I hope it brings you value in your life. So with that being said, have a good day. Hope you stay in balance between what you want, what you need, and I hope you find everything you truly seek based on who you truly believe you are, what you truly want out of life, and how you value yourself as a person. So with that being said, peace out. I'm Jonathan, and I'll just do this one for this one video. See how that works. But anyway, live long and prosper. There. It's my Star Wars geeky reference, if you don't know Star Wars geek, or Star Trek geek, sorry. Peace out.